Recently, I released my final warped video, and to be completely honest, I was a little harsh. The truth is, the entire end of the video was edited while I was in a very bitter state. I had just been kicked from warped for reasons I hadn't been told about, and all I could understand was that they didn't like me. That's it. I usually don't really care about if people like me or not. If someone doesn't like me, I just avoid them, and by association, they avoid me. However, Warped's case was different. It felt like a spit in the face. Again, for most of the 3 to 4 months after the finale of Season 1, I was treated like shit by most of the cast, some of them refusing to let go of the fact I cheated, and using it as a way to make judgment on my character as a whole, which pissed me off quite a lot. To this day, I still have people telling me I didn't take accountability for it when I literally never even tried to deny that I cheated. That was the whole point of my video, and I still recall venting to my friends about how much it bothered me and about how much I had thought of just straight up leaving the server multiple times because I just didn't feel respected there. The moral of the story is that after those 3 to 4 months of being mostly treated as a punching bag by pretty much every warped member besides the ones I consider to be close friends, being kicked from the server for a second time felt like a huge punch in the gut. It pissed me off a lot. It felt like I was being treated as a complete fucking joke. This is my way of saying that the way these issues were portrayed in the video was probably slightly driven by resentment, and I may not have been as impartial as I had hoped, but I digress. I still don't regret most of what I did or said. I don't regret including that in the video, and I still do mostly believe everything I said. I was planning on moving on to better things now that I had finally finished such a gargantuan project and just forgetting about Warped, but turns out I can't really do that. Recently, one of the Warped mods, Linus, dropped a statement addressing what I said in my video in the public Warped Discord, and honestly, I have thoughts. This statement is, at best, misleading and sloppy, and at worst, it is ill-intentioned and at times straight up dishonest. Seriously, half of the mod team admitted they had zero involvement in the writing of this, and for all that I know, Linus posted in the Discord without even properly communicating with the rest of the staff team, because a lot of them seemed to express disapproval of the way he expressed himself. In a regular situation, I wouldn't even bother addressing it, but considering that they purposefully went out of their way to make me look like the Antichrist, and the amount of support received, I feel like my hand has been forced. So here we go. We're literally one sentence in and I already have shit to say about this. What I said in my video weren't allegations, and my goal was never to paint anyone as a bad person. Why are we framing this as some sort of debunk from the start? There's literally nothing to be debunked in the first place. That section of my video was meant to be me venting my frustrations with Warped. Period. If I really wanted to defame or make someone look bad, I would have dedicated an entire video to that and actually bothered to get proper evidence for my claims. But I didn't. Because I don't care if people don't believe me. If you think I'm lying, then go ahead, I know I'm not. I have no reason to, but I also couldn't give less of a shit if you think I am. I don't want Warped to be seen negatively. Trust me, if I did, there are way worse things that I could have mentioned but chose to keep private because I believe people are capable of change. And one last thing, claiming this is you making your side known is complete bullshit and you know it. You know damn well that this statement was just a way to clap back at me and make me look like a terrible person because you were mad at the way you were portrayed in my video. That was your intention from the start. If that wasn't the case, then over half of this response wouldn't be dedicated to trying to stain my reputation and paint me as a petty liar. But it's okay, I'll get into that later.
I don't need no fucking squad, but I love my bros a lot. Shoot your mans up with his hands up, I feel like a fucking cop.
I'm Not Nemo, according to ChrisKid, was never intended to be kicked. This is not true, as Nemo was intended to be kicked earlier than ChrisKid due to their disregard of many server rules and community guidelines. However, Nemo left the server before he was going to be kicked. This one is true! Kinda. My issue with this point is that it is deliberately leaving out context to make it look like I'm a liar, when that's not the case at all. It is true that Nemo was meant to be kicked, but I didn't lie about this. When Nemo left for the first time, I was the only person who actually asked if he had been kicked or not, and the only response I got was from Kopa, saying that he left of his own accord. Now I know that Nemo left because he was told he was going to be kicked in advance, something that I only found out when talking to Nemo himself after I had already released my video. Why Kopa chose to withdraw such crucial information when answering my question is beyond me, but it would be nice if you included that fact at this point instead of painting me as a liar. Nemo has not joked about the N-word. I saw this claim in the ChrisKid video and it has been disproved to me. And about this, I'm doubling down, claiming it's been disproved as funny considering the only evidence for it is word of mouth, and any evidence to disprove said claim has yet to be shared, probably because it doesn't exist. But I digress. I don't care enough about Nemo, so believe what you want. I have no reason to lie about him, but I also don't care enough to try and prove that he actually did this. If you don't want to believe me, then you're free to. After all, the only evidence you have for any of this is word of mouth, so it's really up to you who you choose to believe. I don't really care.
They call me a bastard, you should run me faster. Knives in our lungs and my blood starts to splatter. Hey.
Grisket was claimed to be removed for cheating despite it only being for content. However, there are some untruths to this. Grisket was given permission by the admin team to only use light cheats which are specified by the admins to use for content. However, Grisket went overboard with a variety of cheats that were disallowed. This led to admin concern and finale removing some of Grisket's items, which caused Grisket to respond in a negative and toxic manner during and after the finale. Now this one is more complicated. I don't recall ever claiming that the only reason I got kicked was me cheating, but I know for a fact that it was part of it. To give further context, the only cheats I was explicitly allowed to use by the admins were Netherite and Strength 2, which funnily enough was significantly stronger than any of the legal items I actually ended up using, which is why I never used it again after the first time. However, I still got a life taken away for using Strength 2 due to people complaining too much, despite being explicitly told I could use it. This event left me with a weird dilemma. If I'm gonna be punished for using even the items that I was given permission to use, what's stopping me from using those that I wasn't? Despite this, I still never actually ended up using any of those items until the finale, which I'll get into now. I don't believe this point was malicious. I don't believe it was made with ill intent, but I do believe it is heavily biased, and anyone who's on my side during the finale will be able to back me up on the fact that a lot of important context was left out of this to paint me as an unreasonable, toxic person. It is true that I used illegal items I wasn't given permission to use. However, I only ever used them because my team was massively outnumbered and I thought it would make the finale slightly more interesting if the weaker team used illegal methods to try and even the odds. But it seems the rest of the cast wanted a predictable, boring finale where the team with more numbers wins by a landslide instead. Suit yourself. And yes, it is true that I responded in a negative and toxic manner during the finale, but unlike what they try to claim here, it wasn't because they cleared my items. The reason I snapped and responded harshly to some people was because I was relentlessly mocked, insulted, and ridiculed in chat the moment they found out I was using illegal items. I had been fighting an uphill battle in an incredibly laggy server where getting drops to even the odds was impossible for over 2 hours, and it was around 1 in the morning at that point. And after the finale, this all continued on in mindless Discord rage bait where I was insulted and accused of doing things I didn't do, just for the accusers to begin gift spamming when I attempted to defend myself. All that, combined with the fact I was under the impression Kai was using Strength 2 despite being on the winning team due to people in my VC claiming he was, led to me being in a terrible mood. I was cranky, I was tired, and being made fun of and insulted for trying to do something interesting, both for my video and for the finale in general, didn't help. However, throughout the last couple of months, between the Season 1 finale and Season 2, around a couple of days before the release of Grisket's video, Grisket was removed from Warped SMP. This is due to Grisket being toxic, overly negative, and making players feel uncomfortable with jokes and certain topics. They claim that they were kicked explicitly for the cheating, however, this is not true. Now this one is something else. To this day, I have yet to be given a proper example of me being toxic, so all I can do is speculate on what exactly they're even getting at here. I'm only ever rude to people when they're rude to me first. I'm never mean to someone unless I'm provoked. This is something I know is true for a damn fact because I make sure I'm at the very least civil with everyone. And if you want to claim otherwise, you can go fuck yourself, thanks. The only situations where I can maybe be a little toxic and provoked are when I'm talking to close friends who I am close with and who I am comfortable enough around to make those kinds of jokes knowing they won't get offended. If I was ever toxic to you and I never apologized, then I am not sorry. You likely did something to piss me off, or you were an asshole to me first. Around making people uncomfortable with jokes on certain topics, this is something I was never notified about. Ever. I'm not exactly sure what this is referring to, but I can only assume me joking about getting high occasionally is part of it, and the only message I ever got pertaining to that was a snarky backhanded question from Nugs, someone I have a very rough history with, and who I'm not exactly on the best terms with. However, if he had told me the topic made him uncomfortable due to his history with it, I still would have respected that and refrained from bringing it up around him. Warped has always struggled with communication, and it's insane that I even have to say this, but if something someone says is making you uncomfortable, let them know. Believe it or not, most people will be chill and respect your wishes.
If you think I'm stupid now, you should see me when I'm high. And I'm smarter than I look, I'm the dumbest girl alive. I took 10 pills today, I got bruises on my thighs. Plus I gave away my brain, I'm the dumbest girl alive.
Brisket claims that Warped has turned to a corporate, soulless place where the higher-ups can get away with whatever they would like to, and that we kept Brisket around only for the clout and to give Warped SMP attention, alongside other things I will explain in this. Warped is not corporate. As long as I am in charge, it will never be corporate. Also, me, Kai, and the rest of the mod team do not care about Warped becoming popular. Alongside this, we keep ourselves to a high standard and punish admins accordingly for any abuse. I will not deny that there is bias to it being true, however we are and have been keeping an eye on the problematic people. Now this one is the main reason I'm even making this video in the first place. If the statement consisted of just the first 3 points, I would have let it slide and just moved on, but this one alone just proved to me this response is made in bad faith in an attempt to slander me and my name and not to actually defend yourself. It's real funny how you claim Warped isn't and never will be corporate just to immediately willingly admit that there is bias in the staff team, which is pretty corporate of you if you ask me. In all seriousness, I don't really care if Warped is corporate or not. That paragraph I flashed on screen for 10 frames was just me spilling my guts, and I wrote it in less than 20 minutes at 2 in the morning. I called Warped soulless and corporate because that's how I see it going into Season 2, and claiming it isn't gonna change my mind, especially after this dumpster fire of a response. You admitting there is bias behind the way Warped is moderator just to immediately claim you are keeping an eye on the problematic people is, quite honestly, hilarious to me. You shouldn't even have problematic people in your damn server in the first place. What the fuck do you mean you're keeping an eye on them? In the span of a couple sentences, you just admitted to willingly keeping problematic people in your server because you're keeping an eye on them, and to letting bias cloud your judgment when it comes to dealing with these situations. You think you have to specify that you're biased? We can very much tell. To this day, you have yet to address Callan making fun of rape, incest, and pedophilia in the Discord, which is funnily enough his way of rage baiting me after the finale. All you ever got for it was a slap on the wrist and a verbal warning, yet you mean to tell me these people get to stick around because you're keeping an eye on them, but I don't because I'm supposedly toxic. Alright, and it's because they have shown that they are capable of change. You have proven continuously that you cannot or refuse to change. This one is funny to me. You claim I'm not capable of change or that I refuse to, yet I'm a completely different person than I was when I first joined the community. What you mean is that I don't act the exact way you want me to. I don't just blindly listen to everything you say, and I have enough of a spine to put my foot down when I feel like I've been wronged. I am very much capable of change, but something I have promised myself is that I never change myself to please other people again, and that means I will not change myself to fit your standards. I will not compromise my comfort as a person to appeal to you. To this day, I don't exactly know what you want me to change about myself. I know I'm not toxic. I'm at peace knowing that most of your claims about me are untrue and or misleading, but as much as I like to joke about that, I am not problematic. If my biggest crime was clapping back at people who made fun of and insulted me, then please enlighten me on what exactly you were hoping I'd change about the person I am. I know I'm a negative person. It's why I never try defending myself on that part. It's on me, and that's the only thing I'll give you credit for. I recognize that being more positive is something I can work on, but that is not grounds to lie about me to such a degree and make a whole statement slandering my name because I dared to vent about the way you treated me. I don't care about coming back. Frankly, I knew I wouldn't the moment I uploaded that video, but still held out hope that you'd see the error of your ways and maybe try to make amends. But it's clear to me now that you don't care, especially considering everything following this part of the statement is dedicated to making me look like a terrible person. To my knowledge, you are older than at minimum half of the admin team, and including me. The oldest in the admin team is Sky, who is the only legal adult on the admin team. You are an adult getting mad at other children trying to make their space a better one. You are making yourself out to be the victim while talking about uncomfortable topics around children and being a negative influence. Claiming a lot of you are adults is on me. I was under the impression Linus was at least 18, considering I thought him to be way more mature than most other people on the server, but I will take the blame for it. That was something I said on a whim without much research on my end. However, I do not take blame for anything else. You are not children. Most of you are at least 16 and should be mature enough to handle these kinds of things properly. Saying we are underage doesn't immediately exempt you from criticism, especially considering your definition of trying to make your space a better one involves keeping problematic people around despite knowing damn well of their misdeeds, while simultaneously kicking one of the only people calling out said problematic behavior you're willingly turning a blind eye to. Not to mention the bigoted behavior one of the people on the staff team displays behind closed doors. You know who you are. I'm not even gonna get started on that final sentence. Well, I think it's absolutely fucking ridiculous that kind of wording made it into the final draft, and I start to believe it's not deliberately worded that way to make me look like a predator. It is something Linus has already acknowledged and apologized for, even if he didn't apologize directly to me. As for the claims being made in it, I'm not even gonna entertain them. Any and all claims that I'm a negative influence and that I shouldn't partake in conversations regarding topics such as the vague concept of getting high around people who are underage completely ignore all the nuance present in these scenarios and, again, are deliberately designed to paint me as some sort of predator. Just to put it out there, I have done drugs once in my life and I rarely drink alcohol. Claiming I'm a bad influence for engaging in a silly conversation about an hypothetical dream blunt rotation brought up by someone else is at best silly and at worst malicious and dishonest. This is a non-issue compared to a shit ton of other things that are normalized in this community, and you knew what you were doing by wording it this way. You were intentionally vague about this one because you knew it was a stupid thing to call me out for, and because you wanted people to assume the worst of me.
Bozo, you're an idiot.
And that's pretty much it. I'm done dissecting this fear dream of a response, and as much as I can help it, this will be the last time I ever talk about this publicly. I do not want to have an infinite back and forth about the situation, but I couldn't bear to see such lies and misleading claims being made about me. I don't care if people believe me or not, and I don't care if people still think I'm a terrible person following the release of this video. The most I did in my Warped video was claim that the Warped team was really mean to one person, that being me, and in response, dozens of slanderous statements were made about me, and I was even painted as a danger to minors. I'm at peace knowing that I spoke my truth, and there's that. I admit I'm no saint. I do regret being as harsh as I was in my video, but it's in the past now, and there's not much I can do about it. If any people associated with Warped have any concerns, questions, or even complaints regarding this video, I respectfully request you to please message me privately about it. If it is to continue, I wish for the situation to stay out of the public eye, and if you choose to disrespect that wish, I'll know you are no longer worth my time. I'll see you around.